communications, hired with Mike to provide us with some media photos. The immediate example is on the website. We have a little contact information for each one of us, and we're missing most of the photos. In the past, the photos have looked pretty amateurish. I'm anticipating a pretty strong economic push, so I would like to have some professional headshots of our city council, mayor, and city administrator.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I propose if we're gonna get our picture taken that, like, say, be especially nice looking tonight.
Oh, we're gonna do it tonight.
Oh, we're not doing this tonight. Oh, thank God.
That's what I love that you thought.
I'm really having a bad hair day. You said
We have some powder. No, I spoke with Mike and he's given us an incredibly good rate. Don't tell him that because he might want to raise it. And he's willing to do it individually. So what I would ask is that each council member, and I will, and the city administrator, find a time to meet with Mike at his studio and to get the photos done. So that we can complete that over the course of the next month or so, and then we'll start using it. I'm missing a joke.
No, I just said I didn't look like a newspaper.
So I want to let you know that. Also, regarding the city archives, this isn't listed here, but I'd like to mention it. In the paper, it showed up that, and I think the presumption was that the third floor of this building is not very adequate for the storage of these documents. So I went up there to see, and I was really surprised. I think that the new chiller, the new system that's been put in, repairs to the building, it doesn't leak, it has heat, it has just as much air conditioning as my office. They're secure because of the security that's on the first floor. It's particularly secure. So I'm not advocating particularly that we leave the archives here in this building, but it is certainly my opinion that they are adequately, then environmentally adequately stored. My concern now, having seen it, is one of organization. They are just kind of, there's just never been any human resource allocated to particularly organize this stuff, and I think that needs to be done, and I can work on that in the administration slowly. But I think that they're perfectly safe and in a good environment where they are. I also wanted to mention that I was contacted by the library, and they took exception to the notion that these were over there just strewn about on the floor. They're strewn about on the floor upstairs on the third floor too. I think that comes from, that they're in these boxes, they need to be organized, etc. So I wanted to note that I'm very proud of our library, and I think they do an extraordinary job of taking care of our public resources that they're given. And I just don't want that to be out there, that somehow there was some sort of neglect from the library. And I want to acknowledge that where they are has room to grow, and I think it's reasonable. I'd be anybody who's interested, media, council, whatever, if you'd like to go up there sometime, I'll be glad to arrange that. I think we need organization, and we need a policy for public access to those records. There's a little reading table and stuff up there that would work well. And so I'd ask Sharon, as I indicated, to work on a proposed policy for that.
And my son,
I'm just asking if the city would be receptive to LHDA giving the city a set of shelves to put them on.
Heck, yes. Thank you, I accept. Yes, we actually, we have a need for shelves, particularly in one of the storerooms. So absolutely, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
and I just hope that we won't let go of the idea of digitizing them, because if there were a fire, from what I understand, that's it. I mean, they're not,
Some of them have been. We are in the process of scanning, but it takes a while. And we've got over
so
100
you're
years
working on
of-
that personally, I mean, this,
Slowly.
your office.
Slowly, yeah.
And is that something that we could possibly maybe partner with the high school to have someone come over from there?
Possibly.
I had
Volunteer
community service
hours,
doing it for a while.
Community service, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
It might speed up the process if we could get some help. And they might, you know, absorb some historical information about their city.
Okay, that's all I have for mayor's communications. Council committee reports, remember, these don't need to be a reread of the minutes, we already had that meeting. This needs to be anything from these committees that really needs or warrants the full council's attention. So with that, we can start with finance.
All right, finance, I'll mean order, and then motions were made, to bring before council. The first one was, pay warrants 49-57 in the amount of $217,490.51. And I move that, I wanna make that motion.
Second.
Motion made second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Carter?
No.
Mr. Darnell?
Yes.
Mr. Gay?
Yes.
Mrs. Halky?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Oakley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
May I inquire, Mr. Carter, as to your objection?
No. Not prepared to go into great detail, but we've had discussions. You know, I don't want to pinpoint, take up any more of the time of the council.
Anything else?
The next motion was to, take the full council, paying Klingler and Associates $5,122.31, and I make that motion now.
Second.
Made, seconded, discussion. Call the roll.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Darnell?
Yes.
Mr. Gay?
Yes.
Mrs. Halky?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Oakley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
And then we adjourn.
Okay, thank you, Neil. Fire committee.
Fire committee met at its regular, scheduled committee meeting, and, we have nothing to report.
Jeff? Police?
At our meeting, we discussed several topics. One being the police car, and we kind of come to the conclusion that we need to expedite this as quick as possible. The fire committee would, or police committee would request that along with securing the grant. And we'd like to echo what Randall Cohn said about National Night Out and the Neighborhood Watch Program. I think we should strongly support that so it can become a very viable option. Councilman Hoffman and I received this evening, I don't know if any of the rest of you did, but some information regarding a concern that he had over North 18th Street and Marion Drive, the parking problem. Chief Hughes has sent some pictures, some ordinances that are applicable to that, and he has some recommendations. Mr. Hoffman, don't you think this might require a little bit more study than to act on this immediately?
Either that or at the next committee meeting, we'll have probably a little more time.
Okay, so we would defer that to the July police committee meeting to further discuss that particular problem. That's all.
We might, all go through that section so you can see what the problem is.
Where is it in?
18th, North 18th and, Marion
Marion
Drive.
Drive. You go north on 18th, one block to the curve, and then west, part of a block to another curve. In between the two curves is basically the problem area.
Thank you, Sonny. Streets and alley.
Meeting to order, and I asked the mayor about the various duties for the committee chair people, and he said he'd share that with us tonight, and I think that's on the agenda. And there was some consideration about building permits of the present code and the way they're handled now. And there was a question or a comment to take the full council, a drafted ordinance that would require a permit on a sidewalk or a private driveway now without a fee, but with an inspection.
On that point, Mr. Rep had some information. Summarize if you want to. Basically, he's recommending that we could retain the permit requirement for the sidewalk work and do away and eliminate the fee that's associated with it under the, if you're tearing out a sidewalk right now, it requires an excavation fee. So he's suggesting that we amend section 510-240 and repeal section 510-260. So if you want to take those down and take a look at those, that's something that the ordinance committee could bring up. Amend section 510-240, repeal section 510-260. Have that correct?
Correct. And it's, the amendment is subsection 1 that imposes the $20 fee. That's only for the excavation of an existing sidewalk. There's nothing about if no sidewalk existed in the first place.
How would you tie in the inspection? Do you have an inspection
How would you like that to?
What was the question, I'm sorry? On the sidewalks and the driveways, there's no permit, how would you?
There would be a permit, there would be a permit, there would not be a fee.
A permit, but no fee.
Correct.
Okay. So therefore, to give you the opportunity to do an inspection.
Correct.
If you, it's just a thought, if you put the word driveway in there, the county's not gonna like that. Cause an entire county, I mean, the driveway, an entire driveway, the county taxes on that, I believe. That area the size of the driveway.
So if there's in the city, the county.
We're just talking about the portion that's in the public right of way.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking.
At committee meeting the other night, you mentioned sidewalks and aprons of driveways.
Yeah.
I thought that was what we talked about the other.
No, we discussed that aprons are not included as part of the
Oh,
sidewalk.
okay, all right.
I think that's all that was mentioned.
Aprons would be excluded.
Yes, sir.
That not against demolition, or excavation, I mean.
Mayor,
It's only, this talks about excavation of any public street, place, walkway, alley, right-of-way, or easement. Is what 510-220 first describes. And then there's an exemption for the state highway department, emergency work.
Ken?
the question I had, and I gotta apologize, because none of us has the city code book. So going by memory, you just recited that, thank you. The big question I have on this is the term, the definition of excavation is creating a void. Removing the surface layer of a sidewalk or driveway. I don't know if it truly, it may, but it truly doesn't mean the creation of a void. I think the whole intent really for the permit, especially when they tear into the street, is to get the sub-material compacted and done right and get it inspected, not unlike the foundation, before they do a repair of the street, so it doesn't sink in on us. So, I mean, I understand why we have a fee for excavation permits. But I don't know, I know it says, thank you for reciting that, because I couldn't base it on memory as far as the sidewalk. If you're just taking off the sidewalk, are you creating an
excavation, I don't know, but just play words.
Here's what I'd like. I would really love for the council to review these sections. If you need access to the city attorney for context, you have it. And make a recommendation to what we need to do to ordinances to get done what we all want done, which is oversight without a fee when someone's changing their sidewalk. So I'm going to defer that to committee effort, not something we do as a full council. Bring back recommendation to the full council. Okay? Don, do you have anything else?
That's all.
Okay, thank you very much. Buildings and grounds?
Yes, Mayor, don't have anything for action tonight, for the, council as a whole, but just for information purposes. I was gonna ask Lincoln Park, did you find out if the Trimble House was,
I have not heard back yet, but the board member that I spoke to was very encouraging, recalls their authorization, believes that they will be matching that, and I have received a plan already that same day from the department head regarding the course of action to take. So I think we're well on our way. We just need to hear a final word back from Trimble, but I'm anticipating it.
so just for immediate clarification now, talking about, the Rotary Club donating $1,000, Trimble House possibly $1,000, city is matching about $1,000 to improve Lincoln Park.
So at this point, there is $2,000, and we believe that Trimble will have $3,000 pursuant to their confirmation of previous approval.
The second item was 401 Georgia. Did we get any report back from the building inspector walking through the building?
I don't think that's been done yet?
No, sir.
No, not yet.
I'm glad to inform the city council and the media that Vanessa Thomas has established a stream team. It's stream team number 4901 with Missouri Department of Conservation. They are planning a volunteer day to start working on the town branch. That is the stream that they have adopted. And the date is June 28th, Saturday, is the day that we are planning, or that she is planning, to initiate the volunteer effort to clean up the town branch. It's not going to be done in one day, but they have acquired some minimal funding for volunteers, such as T-shirts, hats, things of that nature, to try to promote. So one thing that I know that we want to do is try to promote that. And something I mentioned prior to the meeting is they're going to be, hopefully, we're going to do a lot of collection of trash and debris. And one of the things that we talk about in the committee meetings is assisting wherever we could, as far as a like-kind, or if there happens to be a monetary effort in the future. We don't know right now what that monetary effort would be, but I do know that there will be a like-kind effort of hauling the trash off or doing something of that nature. I was wanting,
So because, pursuant to that conversation, because the event is happening before we meet again as a council, but after, the assessment event is happening after we've met as a council, I want to make a statement of public policy that the administration will support within our means the stream team effort as coordinated with the city administrator. So it needs to be coordinated. But if more help is required, then we can handle just as a routine order of business. Then we'll consider it through resolution at a later date, probably next month's meeting. So that's a statement of public policy on this, and hopefully that'll accommodate what you need for this first pass on the 28th. Yeah.
that's all I have, Mayor.
Excuse me. Approval of bids for the backhoe and the
Oh, I'm sorry. Apologize.
sludge truck.
Yeah, the city administrator received bids, and the committee recommends to bring before council. Bid for the sludge truck was submitted by Gus Burst for the sum of $901. I move that we award that bid.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
Who seconded?
Yes.
Mr. Gay?
Yes.
Mrs. Helpke?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Oakley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay. The other item was, we received a bid through the administrator, submitted for the, committee, for the backhoe at the old cemetery, at the cemetery. I recommend that I'll move that we award the bid to Eddie Love for $3,780.
Second. Any discussion? Please call roll.
Mr. Carter?
Yay.
Mr. Darnell?
Yes.
Mr. Gay?
Yes.
Mrs. Helpke?
Yay.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Oakley?
Here.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
And before we go any farther on that, is this appropriate time to have a discussion about what we're going to do with that money?
Yes, absolutely. It's my understanding that the council would like to allocate those funds back into large equipment capital replacement funds.
Yes.
So,
Do we need-
I guess we can go ahead and formalize that if you want to make that a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that the monies received for the backhoe and the sledge truck, $3,780 for the backhoe, $901 for the sledge truck, be allocated to the large equipment line item or offset replacement fund.
The motion made and seconded, any discussion?
Yeah. Are we gonna put it back in the large equipment fund for each department where the equipment originated from, or is there a central, make that clear, it's for each department it originated from? or is there-
My recommendation would be that it be go back into each department's large equipment capital replacement.
Let's do it by department, but I anticipate that this is gonna become more finite at the mid-year
Yeah.
review, where we will have individual accounts for pieces of equipment that have lifespans and that we fund appropriately and see.
I didn't think we had just a single large capital.
No, we do
That's
not.
why-
Not at
That's
this
why I
time.
was bringing it up.
So for
For the
the,
department.
for their individual departments.
Yes. So that's discussion. Please call roll.
Mr. Carter?
Yay.
Mr. Darnell?
Yes.
Mr. Gay?
Yes.
Mrs. Helpke?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Oakley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay.
Very good, thank you. Okay, and that's all for buildings and grounds?
Yes, ma'am.
Water?
Water committee, we discussed, of course, the difference in, what we're charging for out of city limit water customers. And, the difference not being 25%, we're charging everybody the same. And so we have not, when we meet again, we'll have more discussion about that. within the water committee. And basically, that's it.
Motion to full council to approve the change orders. It was brought up in water.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we need to approve the change orders for the wastewater treatment facility. 13, 14, and 15.
No change orders for that.
Otherwise, what we did in finance.
Yeah.
Well, because it was actually done in water previously, so.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the change orders 13, 14, and 15.
Second.
Discussion? Please call roll.
Mr. Carter?
Yay.
Mr. Darnell?
Yes.
Mr. Gay?
Yes.
Mrs. Helpke?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Mr. Oakley?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yay. Point of order, Mayor, I think that was already voted on, passed earlier
By full council.
on the finance committee. I may be wrong.
Change orders never came up.
No, not that.
Change orders never came up, no.
Okay.
And not by full council, because we've been doing this since last.
No, not in the finance committee, but
Right, yeah.
I'm easily confused, sorry.
You and me both, I can start a meeting twice.
And we had already talked about the wholesale water rates earlier in the meeting, so.
Yeah.
Good question. When we supply individuals with water outside the city limits, how is that done, in a conduit? Does that go to a certain place and is it distributed to individuals that go down the road?
No, you got the water salesman.
Got what?
We have what is referred to as the water salesman.
What exactly is that mean?
It's pumped from the plant and goes out into that, where people bring their trucks in front of the water treatment plant, and then they can fill up their big 500 to 1,000 gallon
Okay, so
plastic tanks.
we don't pump water to them, they come purchase it in
No,
tanks.
they come and purchase it.
The residents. Yeah.
Out-of-town residents come in, use our water
No,
salesman.
no, water going to them.
Water
The-
going
their
to
house.
them,
You know, like up on the Hillview, outside. the
yeah,
station.
that is pumped to them, yeah.
Okay, well, question I have is, we're responsible for that conduit or whatever that water is in.
In fact, I was told by the previous city administrator that the reason for the 25, he recalls that the reason for the 25%
Right.
increase was to pay for the infrastructure that was required in order to deliver that water, and that it was well received at the time to do that through a 25% overage on the rates. I cannot identify when it was changed, when the administrative policy stopped that, and so I don't know what the context was.
But the ordinance was never changed. regardless.
Apparently, the ordinance was
That,
never
that
changed.
was that part of that 25% was for that.
Correct.
That's why I was wondering, how do we pay for that?
Right now, we pay for it just like we pay for it inside.
Anything else, out of pocket. Okay, thank you.
Adam?
Bob, on the backhoe, going out for bid for the, water department or the distribution, have you checked, or is there a state bid for that piece of equipment already?
No, there is not. I've had, 3 different vendors contact me so far.
Anything else on water?
I don't have anything else. We
Thank you
adjourn.
very much, Lori. Grant committee?
Okay, well, I call the meeting to order, and, I'm asking for a status on the trim. Bob, can you address any of those on there?
Yes, basically, the MLB was taken over by Curtis Hendrickson. On the TEEP grant, I just received the engineer's report today. I have not had a chance to look at it. As far as the trim grant, it has lapsed. And I'm still waiting on approval for phase 2 of the water system, for the water tower, proposition out at the industrial park.
Okay, thank you. The CBDG grant, I talked with, Mark Twain Regional Council, and there's not enough time to do the study and the survey and the, open meetings that we have to have in order to get it done by July, so we're gonna have to work towards the next, which I'm in contact with her, towards the next round on that. Jeff, would you like to address the workforce grant?
The workforce grant, which is the customized training program through DED, the time period for that grant, where it's open to, is now closed for the 2014-2015 year. It's something that I don't know if it might require some research to see whether or not it's something that would qualify the city for or not. There are some certain criteria that's in there. If you go to DED's website, you can look at customized training on that. But we have a whole year. The application period starts in April, and it typically closes by the end of May.
Thank you.
So if, I would appreciate the grants committee looking into that, making recommendations, determining if this is something to do.
I have a question on the grant committee. Do we have any recent update on the CDVG grant on the industrial park? I know we talked about a committee, but Carolyn was saying that there may be an extension.
No, DED has said there is no extension.
Okay.
It's kind of a dead issue. And most likely, if we do anything, it would be a reapplication.
So you're submitting a letter turning in the grant then,
Yeah, I think it simply expires.
Yeah.
in December. Okay.
Can't, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just gonna kind of interject that I was contacted by Ashley Stern, who is Community Development Specialist for the University Extension. She went to a workshop for USDA Rural Initiatives, all of the things that they have available through USDA. She wanted to know if we would be interested in them coming to do a workshop.
The problem with USDA is if you have any reserves, you are not eligible.
For anything?
Plus our median income is higher than their standards. They've got a lot of money. They just,
We don't fit there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just, that's the reason I was bringing it was, would we like a workshop or not? Okay.
Kent.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there another demolition grant?
No, I added that, Kent didn't know anything about it.
Oh, okay, sorry, Kent.
That's all right.
Would you like to answer that, Kent?
No,
You're up, man, you got your speech.
the way.
You did it last time, so I just
The
figured.
way I was told, it would be years down the line before it ever again.
Before, okay.
The reason I put it on here is because we still have the same problem that grant helped us address. And I just want everyone to keep their eyes and ears out for anything that might fit into this, because it was an effective way to do it. Kent and I had a couple of really good meetings, that I think we resolved two, of the buildings very amicably. It was really good. But we've got a lot of work to do here, so if anyone hears of anything that might work on this, start thinking outside of the box. We could use some help with some past saving
I'll ask Robin
buildings.
about that too.
That'd be great.
That's all I have.
The ordinance committee met.
I'm